It's Martha here from Future Me, and I'm really pleased today to chat with Anna Reeves, who is the Let's Talk Travel consultant at the Gloucestershire Community Rail Partnership. Thank you, Anna, so much for taking the time to meet me today. To start things off, I wondered if you'd be able to give just a little bit of background about the Gloucestershire Community Rail Partnership and what are its aims.
So community rail partnerships exist all across the UK. There are over 76 of them now, and they provide a link between communities and their local stations, and they vary a lot in what they deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So our partnership is county-wide. So it was launched 2 years ago and covers the whole of Gloucestershire and its 9 stations. We work closely with industry rail partners, community organisations, and also with all forms of transport, so bus, community transport. And it's about marrying together the sort of local and the grassroots perspective on transport, and just kind of bringing that information to the people who deliver the transport and making stations part of the community.
Yeah, it makes just total sense to me, really, doesn't it? That having the community actually shape the services on offer. So would you be able to tell me a little bit more about the Let's Talk Travel project that's being run here in Gloucestershire?
Okay, so one of the things within our partnership is that we're particularly focused on sort of youth and also communities and transport planning. So sort of Let's Talk Travel kind of marries a lot of that together. And the project came about when, over 2 years ago now, I was asked to do a pilot study on people's thoughts about transport. And I was focusing on that group of people who weren't currently in education or employment, and talking to them about how they travelled. Well, first of all, perhaps did they travel? And some were saying that they didn't actually really travel outside their local area. If they couldn't walk somewhere or they couldn't cycle there, they weren't going to go there. So that has a huge knock-on effect for choices about education, where you go to college, where you're going to study, but also where you're going to go and look for a job. And it's really, really very limiting. So when I looked at those figures as a whole, we were saying over 40% of those people not in employment wouldn't travel to get to a job.
Wow.
It's a really, really high figure. And it's important to remember that that study was done prior to COVID. So COVID will only have made people a little bit more worried about transport and being on a bus, being on a train. But these were people who had other worries and other reasons why they wouldn't travel. And it then sort of limits their opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously it affects people of all ages. So I was talking to all age groups. It's not just young people. I was speaking to people of 40, 50 plus who were saying, again, they were worried about travel. But for our young people to be worried about travel is obviously a real concern, because they've got their whole future ahead of them. And if they're sort of limiting what they will do because they're worried about getting there, then that's really hard for them and hard for them to kind of move forward. So that's kind of why it was there. What we want to do is raise awareness of the issue, provide information for schools, for colleges, for work coaches at the job centre. And what I can also do is I can go out and work with small groups of young people. So I've been into Gloucestershire College and done some classroom-based workshops, and I've also been out and taken a couple of small groups from A to B, but using the train. So we're kind of working out, how do you buy your ticket? Where can you sit when you get on the train? What does the red light mean? How do you read the timetable? All those little practicalities that people worry about, and actually practicing it in real life.
Yeah.
And that's been really good for some of them.
Yeah, that sort of travel training is really empowering, isn't it, for people? So might ask you a bit more about that at the end. You've mentioned the 9 stations already, so for those people who probably maybe want to get more confident with travelling, I just thought if we could go back to basics, and would you be able to tell me what are the 9 stations in Gloucestershire And are any of them sort of those big hubs where you might change trains? And just a bit more about the network, really.
Okay, so the 9 stations, there are 2 slightly bigger stations, which is, you might guess, Gloucester and Cheltenham. But also we've got Stroud, Kemble, Stonehouse, Cam and Dursley, Ashchurch, which serves the town of Tewkesbury, Moreton in Marsh and Lydney.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big area because it's the whole of Gloucestershire. But from those stations you can get trains that are going to take you much further afield.
Yeah.
So up to London, Bristol, Manchester. You're going to be able to access things right across the UK if you're able to use the train.
Yeah.
So most of our stations are served by the Great Western Railway, but there are other train services. So Cross Country is another one, and Transport for Wales is another train company that comes through our stations.
Yeah.
So I did a bit of research for somebody who had limited mobility recently and found out that some trains have much lower stepped access onto the train.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that there are these differences between them. But whatever train you're on, you should be ensured of a really good service.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact they're so fast. So I researched, so Gloucester to Cheltenham is about 10 minutes by train, about 30 minutes by bus. So there are times when the bus is better, but equally there are times when perhaps the train is a better choice for you to make. Gloucester to Swindon is about 45 minutes by train. But that can be a very busy road if you're travelling, if you're driving or going there by bus. So trains definitely play their part. And also it's much more sustainable way of travelling. So if you can use a train, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's some of the really good perks of being on the train. But there are obviously some common sort of what if questions that lots of young people may have on their mind about getting the train. So I wondered if you could give just a couple of examples of these sorts of concerns and then give your tips for how you can build your confidence.
So I think they kind of fit into 2 very broad categories. So one is about the sort of worries that people have about, what if I miss my stop, what if my train or my bus doesn't turn up, all that sort of thing about the sort of the journey itself. And the other category is more about your personal safety when you're travelling. So, and obviously this is bus and train as well. So people say to me, what if someone talks to me? What if someone sits next to me on the bus or sits next to me on the train? What if I don't feel safe at the station or on the train? So it's that sort of whole thing that puts people off as well. So I think my sort of top tips, so looking at the first thing first, which is about missing your stop, the train's late. So there's lots of things you can do. You can make sure you've got information on your phone about the route that your train or bus is going to take. There's a Stagecoach app, for example, where you can follow the route of your bus on your phone. You can use Google Street View to work out what your bus stop is going to look like so you know when to get off. And you can do that bit of planning beforehand. So check, if the train is late, what's the next train or bus that I can get? If the train is late, who do I ring? What will I need to put in place to sort things out for my day? So it's just great to have somebody that you can ring to say, look, I'm on my way into work, but I'm going to be half an hour late because the train broke down and I'm going to be coming in on the next train. So have your phone on you, have battery on it, have your contact numbers on your phone. It's that kind of pre-journey preparation that's really key. The other thing, the personal safety. Lots and lots of little tricks about keeping yourself safe. So first of all, if you're travelling late at night or early in the morning, wait in the main part of the station, wait at the bus stop, wait under a light. If you're sitting somewhere, try and sit with a group of other people, sit where there might be CCTV, all sorts of things like that. And if you don't want someone to talk to you, lots of neat tricks. Wear headphones, read a book. just things like that. Put your bag on the seat next to you. Obviously, be prepared to move it on a busy bus in the morning, but it just stops somebody sitting down by you when you really don't want them to. So that's really important. Useful things like if you're worried about your journey, phone a friend. Yeah. That time when you're on the bus or train could be the time to ring and catch up with a friend. That will take your mind off the anxiety of being on the train. Yeah. And also from a safety point of view, actually having somebody who knows what time you're travelling, what time you're going to get off, it's really great. And if you're at all worried during the journey, ring somebody, say, please meet me at the station, meet me at the bus stop. You've always got the option of 999. So you're really feeling threatened, you can ring 999. Buses have CCTV on them. You could choose to move down and sit by the driver. On a train, go and sit on another carriage where there are more people. Move along. There's actually a text number that you can use, which is 61016. So you can text, and you're texting then through to the transport police. So let's say you're on a train, you're a bit worried, rowdy football fans next door, and you can hear them getting rowdy, and it's only the two of you sat on your carriage and you're feeling a bit nervous. You text that number. The next station, hopefully the transport police would have got there and be able to get on, sort out what's happening on the train.
So we've mentioned this slightly in passing, but something I wanted to ask was around additional needs that someone might have. So if someone has a disability of any kind, whether it's to do with mobility, sensory loss, or it's a hidden disability, or any sort of additional need that might be making them especially worried about rail journeys, what are the services and resources that they can call on to make things easier, and what support is out there?
There is quite a range of support out there, so it's really easy to get the help that you might need. So first of all, there's something called passenger assist that you can actually book on a train, and that you can actually ring that service and they will book your ticket for you as well.
Oh, brilliant.
So, but that also means that once they've booked you on that journey, wherever you're going, at whatever point you would need help, so when you get on the train, if you have to change further on your journey, when you get off at the other end, there will be somebody there to give you the help that you need. So if you're travelling and you're using a wheelchair or have some sort of limited mobility, they will have the right equipment to get you safely on and off the train. If you've got limited sight and you'd just like someone to guide you onto the train, or you feel anxious and nervous, they will come and walk you onto the train and just help you get settled. So that's kind of one service. There's also something called the GWR Accessibility Mentors. So they will work with schools and colleges and go out and do sort of travel training and help you with that sort of journey planning. It's very similar to the sort of service that I deliver, but delivered in-house by GWR. There are station access maps, so they're a useful resource online where you can actually Google a station and find out, does it have steps? Does it have a lift? So you can do a little bit of research. And one of the things that our CRP has done is we've started to produce paper access maps, which cover a lot more than just the station. It's kind of the town centre around the station. So we've got them for Gloucester, Cheltenham, Stroud, Stonehouse and Lydney at the moment, and we're working on others. And it's that area around the town centre where step-free access, where are the safe places that you can go if you need help. There's a service called Station Neighbours, which you can also tap into, and it shows you the main routes through the town, so you can kind of actually on good old paper format plan your journey, look at where you could stop to go to the toilet, where you might go if you feel too anxious and need to go and get some help. And they're a really good resource for people. They're also online on our website, so you can get them electronically. So lots and lots of different things. Things I haven't mentioned, wearing the sunflower lanyard, so that's a really good thing. it just flags up to station staff and bus service staff that you might just sometimes need a little bit of extra help. There are even also cards that you can carry that detail the sort of help that you need.
Okay.
And this is where the accessibility mentors will help you with what sort of service you need. So if you're travelling with a support dog, so perhaps not a guide dog because that's really obvious, but some other support dog, you can get a card for your dog to make sure you don't get awkward questions when you're on the train or bus about that dog being on there. So such a wealth of things.
Yeah, definitely.
And just Google support and access on public transport, and you'll find loads and loads of stuff out there. But again, what I can do is where people have particular issues, I'm very happy to hear where people have had a problem and to kind of email back and just kind of point them to the right direction.
Oh, thanks so much, Anna. That's really, really helpful advice. And just as we sort of draw the conversation towards a close, you mentioned your accessibility maps, which are obviously really practical. An excellent resource to know about. I also wanted to take a quick moment to mention the leisure trail maps that you have, which are also just, to me, seemed really sort of fresh, and I'd not seen anything like that before, sort of detailing leisure and tourist activities near the station. So I just thought I'd ask you any places you'd recommend people to go on the train.
Loads of places that are really good to visit. Obviously, I'm a Stroud person myself, so places that I like nearby are walking along the Stroud Water Canal, and that's really accessible from Stroud or Stonehouse Station. There are some lovely trails, so you could get off the station at Stroud and go on a lovely walking trail up to Rodborough Common, where you're going to get wonderful views. We call it the ice cream trail for very good reason. There's a little ice cream factory right on the top of the common that serves wonderful ice cream and great coffee. So, I mean, one of our trail maps focuses on food and drink, so we kind of have highlighted where you can go and find little local sort of cafes or locally made stuff that's really great. Lydney is another really good spot. So a short train journey out from Gloucester, I think it's about 20 minutes. Brilliant little town, and if you walk out of the town and down to the harbour, you're going to get, again, some wonderful views. If you're energetic and you've got the whole day to spare, you can pick up a bike, go out into the forest from there, and it's a really lovely day out. There's loads of really lovely stuff to do around Gloucestershire, so we're really keen to promote it and to get people to use trains rather than going in your car. Go by train, pick up a bike from wherever you get to, or do a walk, and it's just combining that getting out in the countryside, getting some exercise, enjoying the views, enjoying lovely food. So really, really good.
So would you be able to just let me know how people can find out more, and then if there's anything else you wanted to share before we finish?
Okay, so there is a website, so Gloucestershire Community Rail. So Google that, and then you'll find all the information that I've been talking about. But I think if people want to contact me, I'm very happy for people to email me. I have a slightly long email address, so it's letstalktravel@gloucestershirecommunityrail.org. Again, if you go to the website, you'll find it on there. But if you've got a query or some advice that you'd like to see shared amongst other groups, just drop me an email with that on. If you'd actually from today think, well, I wish my school was doing something like this, why isn't my college doing this sort of thing? If you actually give me your name of your college, perhaps a contact at the college, I'm very happy to bring the college, explain who I am, explain that this particular person has asked for more information, and explain that I can come out and do workshops. So lots of different things that we could do.
That sounds really good.
And I think my one thing that I probably haven't mentioned is kind of travel discounts. Young person, money is often tight, so there are loads of really good travel schemes out there, and it's about making sure you make really good use of them. So Stagecoach and the other big sort of bus companies have different money off schemes. So Mega Rider, the Day Rider. Day Rider, you can go anywhere within that district for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a really good money off thing. Rail discount cards. So if you're aged 16 to 17, you can get 50% off your fares.
Yeah.
If you're going to move into an apprenticeship, and obviously there will be people who've left college now or who are about to move into an apprenticeship scheme, you can get your first 100 bus journeys free.
Oh, wow.
If you apply for it.
Yeah.
New to college, perhaps moving into Gloucestershire to go to the University of Gloucestershire, again, they have a uni rider scheme.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of finding all this information, but it's really worth spending time Googling and finding out what offers there are out there.
And I think I'm right, the 16 to 25 rail card is a third off, is it?
It's a third off for the 16 to 25 rail card. There are loads of different rail cards, so you can get 2 together is another one. So if you might want you and your boy or girlfriend to do some long journeys together, you can actually apply for a joint card. So there's lots of different ways of working it so that you get the best value for money. So very good.
That's always a good thing to offer people, isn't it? Save some money as well. I definitely made good use of my rail card when I had it.
Very, very important. I can remember when I had a rail card.
Well, thank you so much indeed for talking to me. It's been a really excellent interview, just so much information for anybody listening, especially young people, but just generally for anyone listening to find out about the partnership and all the things that you can offer. So thanks so much for your time.
That's okay. Thank you very much. It's been lovely talking to you.